I did not know this. When I made my reaction video, I didn't know this. But the Mystics refused to shake the hands of the Fever players after the game. Boy, I'm going to tell you, this league is just ate up with class. Forgot to mention, for some reason, the Mystics didn't shake the hands after the game. A few Fever players were waving because they were expecting a handshake line. Mystics players went straight to the locker room.
This might be the most embarrassing moment the WNBA will see all season. The Washington Mystics refused to shake hands after their loss, and that one act lit a fuse that's still burning. What followed was social media chaos, exposed hypocrisy, and a harsh reality check no one saw coming. After falling to the Indiana Fever, the Washington Mystics walked off the court with their heads held high, but not in pride. They refused to shake hands. No congratulations, no sportsmanship, just a cold, silent walk to the locker room like the sore losers everyone accused them of being. And in a league already struggling for respect, this wasn't just a bad look, it was a public embarrassment. But that wasn't even the worst part.
A lot of things have come out now about the Mystics and that really, really absurd, berserk show we saw on a basketball court yesterday, where multiple players went after Sophie Cunningham. I think we know why. All right.
Right after the final buzzer, Fever players extended their hands like true professionals, only to be ignored. Some even waved, confused, expecting the usual post-game courtesy. Instead, they got nothing. The Mystics didn't just skip the handshake, they made a statement. One that screamed, "We don't like losing, and we don't know how to act when we do." And fans noticed. Across social media, the backlash hit hard. People weren't just disappointed, they were calling it flat-out disgusting. Headlines labeled the Mystics as classless. Even neutral viewers called out the pettiness. Because when you combine poor sportsmanship with public arrogance, it's not just a bad game, it becomes a story that defines your team. And then came the receipts. Mystics player Brittany Sykes jumped on social media like nothing happened, posting about Joy, the squad, and bandwagon fan. Seriously? You snub your opponents and follow it up with flexing online? The timing was tone deaf, and it only fueled the fire. Viewers didn't just call it cringe, they said it matched the team's whole energy, fake smiles and zero accountability. But the situation gets even more embarrassing.
Sophie owned their asses on the court yesterday, all right? And it is what it is, 21 points, I think 8 boards.
Some fans tried to defend the Mystics, blaming emotions or frustration. But even that excuse falls apart when you realize who they were mad at, Sophie Cunningham, the same player who dropped 21 points and 8 boards while schooling their defense all night. Instead of respecting the performance, the Mystics acted like playground bullies who got outplayed. No wonder people say they've taken on the worst traits of their ownership, bitter, petty, and stuck in the past. And just when it seemed like the drama was over, boom.
I'm just a girl, but I only play WWE with my sister, so chill. And obviously while posting a clip of that. And people don't realize, I'm pretty sure Sophie Cunningham is a black belt in Taekwondo.
Mystics fans and players started retweeting posts targeting Sophie, calling her Mega Barbie, and celebrating Kiki Iriafin for taking her down. Except there's one problem. Sophie dropped 21. Kiki only scored 7. So who exactly got taken down? The numbers don't lie, only the narrative does. And when you lose on the court and online, it starts to look like desperation. And the consequences? They're coming fast. When players resort to dirt instead of discipline, they don't just damage their image, they risk their careers. With talk already swirling about Kiki needing to check herself before she ends up in a foreign league, fans are starting to ask, is this the new identity of the Mystics? Are they a basketball team, or just a group of players playing victim every time things don't go their way? And with that question hanging in the air, the league has a choice to make. Do they hold this team accountable, or let the bad behavior slide again? Because one thing's for sure, the Mystics didn't just get beat, they got exposed. It's not just the players, this attitude starts at the top.
And kind of random thrown to the ground. Maybe I need to hit the weight room. That was not a good look. But she had my back, and I think that's what it's all about, right? I think we have a huge target on our backs. I don't think that's a secret. And so making sure that our locker room's like this, and that'll naturally flow onto the court. And I think you guys saw that today.
The Washington Mystics didn't magically become classless overnight. Their behavior mirrors their leadership. Team owner Sheila Johnson has been at the center of controversy for years, and her influence on this squad isn't subtle. From media stunts to race-fueled narratives, her presence has been more about making headlines than building a winning culture. When a team starts acting out, it's usually because they're following someone's lead, and in this case, all signs point upward. But that connection runs deeper than most people realize. Not long ago, Johnson made headlines by suggesting the entire WNBA should be celebrated, only after Caitlin Clark was named Athlete of the Year. Instead of celebrating Clark's achievement, she tried to make it about identity, politics, and inclusion. That didn't sit well with fans. What should have been a proud moment for the league turned into a weird, uncomfortable debate, one that Johnson fueled by pushing a divisive message. And now, that same bitterness seems to be dripping right down into her locker room, and it's leaking all over the court.
You think you're going to be pushing around Sophie Cunningham like that? Don't worry. Sophie, I got this. DeWanna Bonner. We have people that aren't going to put up with the nonsense this year. You want to try the Fever? Go ahead and try us. Go ahead and try.
The Mystics aren't just disrespecting opponents. They're carrying themselves like victims of a league that's supposedly out to get them. Every foul, every loss, every comment turns into a fight about race or unfair treatment. And the moment someone criticizes their actions, it's suddenly a hate-driven agenda. That's not strength. That's deflection. And fans are getting tired of it. Regular sports watchers aren't buying the pity play. They're watching the game, and what they see is a team acting above the rules. But the contradictions keep piling up. How can a franchise scream for unity while mocking other players online? How can a team demand fairness while refusing to show basic sportsmanship? It's all performative. Off the court, they play the role of social justice warrior. On the court, they throw cheap shots and skip handshakes. That kind of two-faced behavior doesn't build respect, it destroys it. And for every post they make about empowerment, there's another viral clip showing them acting like sore losers. And here's the part nobody wants to admit.
1,461 people, they didn't come to watch you guys bullshit. They didn't come to watch you guys drag ass. Let's play some defense and let's get it together offensively. There were a few possessions back-to-back where full court pressing, forcing turnovers. Full court pressing, forcing turnovers. Sophie Cunningham.
This isn't just about a game. It's about control, narratives, reactions, and reputations. The Mystics want to shape how they're seen, but the footage doesn't lie. What fans witnessed wasn't some misunderstood group of athletes. It was a team that lost with zero grace, then doubled down with smug online jab. That's not leadership. That's ego. And when your owner sets the tone, don't be shocked when the whole team starts playing dirty. Brittany Sykes didn't just lose the game. She logged on like she'd won a championship. After the Mystics' embarrassing walk-off, fans expected silence or maybe an apology. Instead, Sykes fired up social media with a smug post that reeked of arrogance. She talked about playing with joy, being back with the squad, and even warned fans that the bandwagon was about to be full. No mention of the loss. No accountability. Just a victory lap after a defeat. But it wasn't just what she said.
Sophie Cunningham let us all know we are in good hands. She brought the energy. She brought the defense. Lexi Hull brought the energy. She brought the defense. Sophie Cunningham, 2 for 6 from 3. Lexi Hull, 1 for 3 from 3. Lexi Hull looked the most confident I've ever seen Lexi Hull look.
It was how she said it. Every line felt like a jab at Indiana and Sophie Cunningham, the very player who torched her team all game. The tone? Passive-aggressive at best, fake confidence at worst. It was like Sykes was trying to distract everyone from what happened on the court. But fans aren't stupid. They saw through the posturing. The comments lit up with people calling her out, accusing her of hiding behind social media while avoiding real competition. And that's where things got worse. Instead of backing down, Sykes leaned in. She doubled down on the vibes, laughing off the criticism and pretending it was all love. But when you've just gotten exposed on national television, trying to act like it didn't happen makes you look delusional, not confident. It's giving sore loser energy. It's giving deflect and distract. And honestly, it made the entire Mystics roster look even worse by association. But here's what really crossed the line. Fans spotted subtle shade aimed right at Sophie, nicknames, indirect comments, and likes on tweets that mocked her. This wasn't random trolling. This was a calculated move to flip the story. Instead of owning up to a loss, they tried to spin it like the winner was the villain. It's the same tired trick, flip the spotlight when it doesn't favor you. But this time, it backfired hard. Because Sophie didn't take the bait. She let her game do the talking. and the scoreboard had already spoken loud and clear. And what came next revealed the whole game.
Or Sophie Cunningham on the bottom of your screen. You mess with this team, we have some people that are going to stand up for themselves and stand up for others. This isn't the soft, fevered team that you can push around last year. That's, let's just push them around and bully them because nobody on that team has any to step up to us.
Sykes and her teammates wanted control of the narrative, but in doing so, they handed the spotlight to Cunningham. Every smug post and fake flex only reminded people who actually showed up that night. And it wasn't Brittany. She talked big online, but played small on the court. The contrast was brutal, and fans noticed, because in sports, you don't earn respect by tweeting, you earn it by performing. And Brittany Sykes? She chose the wrong platform.
Kennedy Carter on the court. I'm going to be honest, I'm starting to wonder. I think if Kennedy Carter came back in the league, she might act better than some of these folks they got in there right now.
When Kennedy Carter starts looking like the mature one, you know the league's got a problem. Carter used to be the WNBA's favorite scapegoat. Too emotional, too aggressive, too uncoachable. That's what critics said. But fast forward to now, and the behavior coming from some of these current players makes Carter look like a role model. At least when she acted out, she owned it. She didn't hide behind social media or gaslight fans after getting exposed on the court. She showed her flaws, but she also faced the consequences. But what we're seeing today, it's worse. Now it's fake smiles, backhanded posts, and snarky tweets after a loss. No accountability, no humility, just a cycle of acting reckless and playing victim. That's not growth, that's regression. And while Kennedy Carter was once labeled the problem child of the league, she might actually carry herself better than half the players currently grabbing headlines for the wrong reason. And it's not just talk. Look at where she is now. Carter's playing overseas, rebuilding, working, trying to get back in the game the right way. Meanwhile, we've got Mystics players stirring up drama in preseason games, acting like they're above the rules, and then crying foul when anyone calls them out. The roles have flipped. The villain is showing more professionalism than the so-called leaders on the floor right now. And here's the real kicker. If Kennedy Carter did pull the stunts we're seeing today, the league would be ready to bury her. But because it's coming from players tied to the right narratives, it gets brushed off. That double standard is loud, and fans are finally calling it out. Because no matter how much PR spin you throw on it, dirty behavior is still dirty. And being marketable doesn't mean you're immune to criticism. So ask yourself this. When the player once known for being too much is starting to look like the adult in the room, what does that say about the current state of the WNBA? Because right now, it doesn't say much. Social media blew up after the Mystics game, and one post in particular stood out for all the wrong reason. It claimed that Kiki Iriafen took down Sophie Cunningham. Seriously? Took her down? Sophie dropped 21 points, grabbed boards, and lit up the court. Meanwhile, Kiki managed a forgettable 7 points, and that's the player people are celebrating? It's not just delusional, it's downright embarrassing. But this wasn't just one overhyped post, it was a coordinated narrative. Suddenly, people were retweeting Kiki's highlights like she was the MVP, completely ignoring the scoreboard. They weren't celebrating skill, they were celebrating attitude, because apparently, acting tough now matters more than actually winning. That's not sportsmanship, that's clout chasing. And fans watching in real time saw through the charade immediately. And here's where the hypocrisy got louder. The same crowd that talks about uplifting women was now bashing one of their own, Sophie, just because she performed better. The post labeled her MAGA Barbie, trying to reduce a great player to a meme, just because she had the nerve to outperform their favorite. And guess what? Sophie didn't even engage. She didn't clap back. She didn't talk trash. She let her game speak, and it said everything. But that wasn't enough for the trolls. They wanted Sophie humiliated. They needed a moment to shift the conversation, and Kiki was the excuse. Even though she barely showed up on the stat sheet, her energy got hyped like she won a title. The truth? She got outplayed. And that takedown moment? Nothing more than a flop disguised as fire. If this is what we're calling dominance now, then the bar has officially hit the floor. And here's the real damage. By praising underperformance and tearing down actual success, the league sends the worst possible message, style over substance. If Kiki's 7 points count more than Sophie's 21, then why even keep score? Why track stats? The fans aren't blind. They saw who showed up. And the more this fake narrative gets pushed, the more trust the WNBA loses from the people who actually care about the game. Because let's be real, Kiki didn't take down anyone. She just got handed a story, and Sophie still walked away with the win. Keep acting like this, and Kiki won't be in the WNBA long. There's a limit to how far hype can carry you, and if Kiki Iriafen thinks flashy moments and social media clout will keep her in the league, she's in for a rude awakening. The WNBA doesn't have the room or the patience for players who bring drama but don't deliver. The truth is, if she keeps focusing on antics instead of consistency, she won't be on a US roster. She'll be heading overseas like countless others who let ego kill opportunity. And here's where it gets real. We've seen this story before. Players with raw talent, big followings, and bad habit. The league gives them a chance, maybe two. But when the distractions outweigh the stats, they're replaced fast. It doesn't matter how much Twitter cheers you on. If you can't back it up night after night, coaches move on, fans move on. And soon, the only offer left is a one-way flight to a team you've never heard of in a country you can't pronounce. But what makes this worse is the wasted potential. Kiki could be great. She's athletic, strong, and has the tools. But if her focus stays on pushing fake narratives and playing into online drama, she'll never level up. You can't grow if you're busy pretending to be the main character after scoring single digits. She's spending more time fueling beefs than fixing her game. And that path doesn't lead to awards, it leads to obscurity. Just ask Kennedy Carter. Once one of the most talked about young players in the league, she's now hooping in Mexico because the WNBA had enough. Not enough discipline, not enough respect for the game. And now she's a cautionary tale. If Kiki doesn't change course fast, she'll end up right next to her. And let's be honest, this league will survive without her. But will she survive without the league? And here's the harsh truth. In the WNBA, your brand can get you noticed, but only your game keeps you employed. One more preseason scuffle, one more arrogant post, and Kiki might not just lose minutes, she could lose her entire shot. Because when you treat the league like a stage instead of a career, don't be surprised when they pull the curtain on you. And that's the part no one wants to admit. The drama, the fake narratives, the disrespect, it's not just hurting players. It's slowly destroying what the WNBA could be. Sophie Cunningham didn't need to talk. She let her game speak, and it screamed louder than any tweet. Meanwhile, the ones throwing shade? They're walking a thin line between spotlight and unemployment. If you're tired of the fake hype, the twisted stories, and the league pretending like we don't see what's really going on, hit that subscribe button, because over here, we call it exactly how it is. No filters, no excuses, just the truth. Thanks for watching. Until next time.